Kingdom
Live.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. It's Mahomes' house. Woo! Arrowhead my ass. You gotta fight for your right to party.
Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock. That means it's time for Chiefs Kingdom Live. I want to thank everybody who's joined us tonight. Don't forget, while you're here, click like, click subscribe, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your Uber driver next time you're coming home 2 a.m. from the bar. Tell them to tell a friend. We actually met an Uber driver in Vegas that was a Chiefs fan.
We did. True story.
Especially in Kansas City. So anything you can do to help spread the word and grow the show, we'd surely appreciate that. Got a good show tonight. Lots of things to talk about. First and foremost, obviously, the biggest was the draft in Kansas City over last Thursday through Saturday. Lots to talk about there. And there's been some news, some signings, some players. Jarrett McKinnon's coming back. Some Clyde Edwards-Helaire news we'll talk about. Talk about NFL happenings, NFL goings-ons. We haven't done a show since Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets. We'll talk about what maybe we think that does for the AFC and the Chiefs. They play the Jets this year. So Aaron Rodgers linking up with McCole Hardman out there in New York. We'll talk about that. But first, Nick, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well. We're a little late today because we had a thing with the girls. They do Awanas and it was awards night, so we're getting in a little late. It's a little rush getting here, but I'm doing really good, man. I'm doing really good. It's just excited that we got some new players from the draft. Excited we had some signings that we'll talk about. Just happy to be on here. I know that we've already got people asking. Big Doug, where's our buddy Bo? Bo had another obligation. He's always moving all over the country. He lives that nomad lifestyle. So they're in the middle of getting ready to get to their next spot. So he'll be back next week. So unfortunately you're just stuck with me and Scott right now. So how are you doing, Scotty?
Doing good. Yeah. The adults gone, so the kids are playing here tonight on the show. Bo said he might chime in here in the chat later. He's on his way to Kentucky here shortly. So he said he might jump on later if he gets a chance or hop in the comments. So before we get going here, I just wanted to let everybody know, if you didn't see on Twitter, our winner of the contest was Dread the Red over on Twitter. I got to talking with him. Yeah, congrats. I got to talking with him a little bit there on Twitter. Lives out in Hutchinson, Kansas. Hutch, good, solid Kansas Chiefs Kingdom city out there. So congratulations to him. It was a lot of fun. There was some cool stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, swag from the Super Bowl championship game, confetti. Pretty dope giveaway. We've got some things left over for another one. We're going to get started soon. So if you're not following us on Twitter, go check us out there. You can see it scrolling along the bottom. Nick's got it going at Chiefs Kingdom Live. We're always including people here in the comments. What I did, basically, I just went, and anybody that selected the right position group in the comments from the show or on Twitter, I just put them all together and kind of rolled through them randomly with my eyes closed and picked somebody. So pretty cool giveaway. We're working on another one, just a small way of thanking Chiefs Kingdom for all the support. We're gonna get that going. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's fixed. So we're doing the best we can. I was surprised how many people picked defensive line, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
It seemed like most of the buzz and the hype and people were talking about going wide receiver. I know that's what I wanted. I was hoping the Chiefs would maybe trade up and get a wide receiver, one of the top guys. It was looking like maybe that was going to be the case. And receivers were dropping and dropping and dropping. You got to, pick 19 or 20 before the first one went. and you thought, well, maybe this gives the Chiefs a chance to trade up without having to give up a whole lot to get there. Came out afterwards that maybe there were some teams that just wouldn't trade with the Chiefs, and maybe they tried to trade up and get one of those guys, but they end up with FAU, King Felix. Not even going to try to pronounce the last name. No disrespect to him, but I just know I'm going to butcher it. So, edge rusher. He was the defensive player of the year in the Big 12, which the Big 12, K-State and TCU were battling it out for that last spot in the college playoff. TCU obviously went on to play in the national championship game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Weren't quite ready for them, but still,
well,
you get the defensive player of the year in one of the premier Power 5 conferences in the league with the last pick of the first round. You're feeling pretty good. The production is there for that guy, especially the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting story with him, too. He's a local kid, grew up in Kansas City, rooting for the Chiefs. The Chiefs, if you haven't seen on their social medias, they put out a pretty cool picture. And it's a Felix there when he's a kid on the field, and you can kind of see the scoreboard behind him, and he's got his hands up. And then they brought him in after they drafted him and kind of put him in the same spot in the stadium, the same pose,
awesome.
Same background. It's pretty dope. But, yeah, and he had a lot of production the last 2 years. He kind of was thinking about maybe quitting football out of high school and ended up deciding he was going to stick it out and go. I want to say, his only offer was North Dakota State, and then K-State swooped in, the only Power 5 school to give him an offer, and he crushed it his last 2 years there in Manhattan. Fills a position of need, obviously, with the departure of Frank Clark to Sharp. I don't know if that puts a nail in the coffin for the hopes of the return of the Shark, but it doesn't help. Yeah. Nick, what do you think about the Chiefs' first-round pick?
So it's interesting because if you go off of Twitter's initial reactions, everybody's looking at the big board and they're saying, "Oh, the Chiefs reached to get this guy," and so you kind of feel bad about it, right? If you're looking at, oh, well, did we get the best player available? Because that's one of the theories is that it doesn't matter what you need, you draft the best player available. Chiefs obviously don't do that. And I'm glad they don't, because it doesn't make any sense to draft, a quarterback in the first round if that's the first player available, if you got Patrick Mahomes, right? So then I started just kind of digging into this guy. Really cool story. Love seeing a local guy get drafted by the Chiefs when the draft is in Kansas City. I mean, it's a really cool story. And then, he also temporarily had the NCAA record for most sacks in a game, right? Yeah. And then they took it away because 2 of the sacks were fumbles that were recovered by his team, and somehow that took that stat away from him as far as what they count as sacks in NCAA. But the dude had 6 sacks in a game, essentially, right? I mean,
yeah.
So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to see what he can do. I think that John here, he's kind of nailed it, right? Build the defense, right? Mahomes will score with anybody, do it himself. I'm also pretty pumped about the highlights I've seen of Rashee Rice and some of the catches that he's made, just going high point in the ball, contested, coming down with it. Looks like he's a bigger bodied guy with good hands. So, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see a new edge rusher. We've got Karlaftis and now we've got, King Felix, right? If those guys can both, have the type of productivity that Karlaftis had at the second half of last year, we're going to have a really good defensive, rush on the quarterback, which is what we need, right? I mean, the AFC is loaded with quarterbacks, and we're going to need to get pressure on the person passing the ball in this upcoming season and for years to come if we're going to want to have a chance at slowing some of these offenses down. So.
Yeah, it's almost like the 2 most important things on a football team are having the right quarterback in place, with the Chiefs obviously have Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the league. And then on defense, rushing the passer. It does so many things. It gives your corners help so they don't have to cover guys as long. You get sacks. You mentioned he had the record, but 2 of them were fumbles. You can get turnovers because quarterback's not like a running back. You don't have that ball tucked away and
Yeah.
expecting to get hit. You get in on that blind side, get pressure on them, errant throws. Those are, drive killer sacks especially. So it almost seems like, and I guess when you think about it, it makes sense that if the most important position on the field is the quarterback, if you can harass and get in the head and limit what the other team's quarterback is able to do, seems like that's become maybe the most important thing to do on defense. It's going to be interesting to see. They said that he's got that bend, which is what a lot of people like to say, that ability to get around and kind of and bend around the ends there, the tackle, get to the quarterback. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that guy can do. And again, just the Kansas City kid, the local K-State, a lot of K-State fans. Nick, you said the initial reaction was, I don't think a lot of people kind of knew who he was at first.
Right.
The reaction on social media and on Twitter was sort of, people were like, who is this guy? Which is kind of amazing. Think that the guy played at K-State's a local school.
K-State, yeah, an hour away.
I mean, Manhattan's a ways down the road, but that's a local school. I mean, K-State, KU, and Missouri are the three local schools here, and KC and the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. I also think it was a guy that he didn't have a lot of the sizzle with his name, with the Mel Kipers and the Todd McShays. A lot of those guys, they had him a border-round first-round pick, but he wasn't one of these skill position players on offense that people were talking about, like Zay Flowers and Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas, some of the quarterbacks. The guy just really was, I don't want to say maybe, I don't know if under the radar pick is the right way to say it, but he definitely didn't have the hype going in. So I don't think a lot of the casual fans or people that, don't necessarily watch a lot of college football really knew who he was. But hey, once word kind of got out and people had a little bit of time to ruminate and let that pick marinate, the story just blew up and it became a really popular pick. So Chiefs Kingdom ended up pretty happy with that first round pick. It's got a Big Doug in here. Yeah, I don't get to Joe Burrow. That was the key in the championship game, right?
It was.
That was the difference between the regular season games that they had beaten us and the game to go to the Super Bowl. We got on Burrow early and often in that game, that freezing ass cold game at Arrowhead. But yeah, pressure the quarterback. There's other quarterback, and just in this division, Justin Herbert is going to be key, pressuring that guy. Josh Allen hasn't gone anywhere. I talked about it a little bit in the intro, and we'll talk about it here more later after we kind of get through some of this Chiefs news. Aaron Rodgers might be a guy that is in the Chiefs' way now to make a return back to the Super Bowl. Man, I want back-to-back Super Bowls bad. So bad. The last team to do it was obviously the Patriots. And if the Chiefs can go back-to-back, we talked about this after the last Super Bowl win a couple months ago. I already feel the Chiefs are a dynasty at this point. When you look at the streak of consecutive division championships, 5 straight AFC championship games, 3 AFC championships, 2 Super Bowl wins in the last 5 seasons. Some people want that third ring. If the Chiefs can go back-to-back to get that third ring and get 3 in 5 years, there will be no more discussion. So, yeah, I want back-to-back bad. But back to the draft, got off on a little side tangent there. I really want back-to-back. I do. Bad. But, yeah, so Chiefs go defense first round. That's been what, like the second or third year in a row? Because last year they had 2 first-round picks, and they went defense with both. Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis were the first-round picks last year. 2 guys that contributed all season last year, especially Karlaftis. You look at some of the – I think there towards the end, he had, 7 sacks in 8 games when you include the playoff games. Guy started to come alive. So if he can be ramping it up, build that defense like John C. was mentioning there, and you've got Patrick and Travis on the offense. And you saw they've been able to plug guys in. Tyreek Hill left last year. Offense, I'm not going to say didn't miss a beat because I don't feel like they had that deep threat, big play ability that they had, but still had more than enough to win games and get it done. Won the Super Bowl. So it's kind of hard to complain, but they did go wide receiver in the second round. Rashee Rice, SMU, that's the owner, Clark Hunt's alma mater. It's a college that a lot of people We're talking about Felix, the first round pick, kind of flying under the radar. SMU's a school that kind of flies under the radar, but that's like Dallas's college, man. That's a big school. That's
Right.
a huge program that not a lot of people. It's not like your Michigan or your Ohio States and your Mizzou's and your K States for whatever reason. They don't play in the biggest conference, but yeah, SMU, Rashee Rice, wide receiver. People feel maybe they reached a little bit for this guy. You look at his numbers and his highlight films.
Catches per year, he was the best wide receiver in the draft, right?
Yeah, yeah, and even with some drop issues he had, they were talking about that was him letting the ball get to his body. They said they coached that out of you in the NFL in one training camp. So pretty confident. Hopefully the Chiefs can take care of that. There's some deeper metrics though. I'm trying to think of the website that puts it out. It's called Reception Perception. And they kind of go through the different route tree and see like what the win rate was, and especially against man-to-man or double teams. And maybe those numbers didn't look as good, but a big body guy, I think the Chiefs are looking to fill that Juju Smith-Schuster role with him. One of the coaches said in a press conference they believe that Rashee Rice can fill that role. Patrick threw with him down in Texas at the TCU facility when he was down there with Quentin Johnson, the TCU guy, and some of those Texas guys. Patrick's always down there in his home state. Camp Patrick had some of the receivers down there. Tony and them guys were down there catching passes. Mahomes was really, really happy with the pick. Nick, Rashee Rice, what have you seen, and what do you think about the second round pick?
Just watching some of his highlights. I mean, guy can ball. I mean, he can get up there. I already said it. He can get up there and high point the ball. Really good yards after catch.
Yep.
Just looks like a guy that, hopefully he can integrate. And, he's going into one of the best offensive systems probably of the last 20 or 30 years, right? If you look at it that way, the Andy Reid offensive scheme. Andy Reid's receivers, though, they typically the first year they kind of don't get as integrated into the offense. So maybe we'll see a little dip there. But yeah, the Chiefs obviously wanted this guy. They put a bunch of stuff out there with all these other guys that Patrick was throwing to, kept it under wraps that they were working out with Rice. So let's just see what he can do, man. I'm excited at the prospect of having a guy with that build on the field, right? We typically, as John said, right, we get these we get these speed guys, right, which is great, but then when you see it when we get into the red zone, get close to the end zone, where sometimes, if it's not Kelsey, we have lacked having that big body dude. Juju gave us that. And I'm just hoping that this guy can be another big body in the red zone for us when things get a little tighter. So we'll have the speed and have that ability with two big guys with Kelsey and Rice. So, I mean, I think it's a good pick. I think that, there's some of the guys that we traded up for to get in the draft, people were upset about, but look, we weren't going to be able to sign 11 draft picks anyway, right? So, I mean, I think that it's, if that's the dude that you want, and there's even a thought that you might lose them over a pick that for somebody that you're not going to be able to sign anyway, like it just move up and get them. The people that, oh, that's a reach, or, like you overdrafted this person. I mean, that stuff, all the draft grades and all this stuff. I mean, it's a lot of fun to talk about. There's not a lot else going on, but man, is there any bigger crock of shit than draft grades and what people say like about people? Like, it is just like some of the worst analysis and hindsight that you're ever going to see, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes consensus C-, draft, and people, why did you draft that guy at number 10? I mean, you could have got Deshaun Watson. And so, I mean, there's just a lot of talk, but really until these guys hit the field, we won't know, right? So I think that we had an overall good draft. I was at the draft opening night. That was pretty cool. We were there for a couple of hours. I didn't stay for the whole time. I'll be honest, like we weren't on the main lawn just because we didn't get there early enough for that. And after like the first 5 picks or 10 picks or something, it's kind of like, okay, like we've seen it, we're kind of just watching it on TV now. It was cool. It's super cool to be there with everybody, see all the fans, see all the stuff they had set up. But they also had this guy that was announcing over the loudspeaker. So it was already pretty loud when they're announcing everything because there's a lot of people there. And then like at 3 times the volume of everything else, there was this guy, and I apologize to anybody that's on headphones right now, but he's like, attention, the main lawn is empty. And he would just have this like 30-second message, dude. And it was like there were people blocking their ears. It was ear piercing. And so after like 15 minutes of being, getting my eardrums blasted, we walked around and you could see who people were picking and stuff. It was a super cool look for the city. We had a great turnout. I think they said that it was the largest turnout out of any city for the total draft. Over 300,000 people came. So it was a cool experience. It was definitely great to see. But back to Rice, I am excited, man. I'm excited that we got another wide receiver. I'm excited to see what Sky Moore can do this year. We've got Justin Ross. We've got the other Ross that we signed that was drafted ahead of Mahomes, right, from the Bengals. We've got Tony. We've got Rice, right? I mean, we've got a pretty loaded wide receiver group. Watson, Kelsey. So it looks like the Chiefs are going to be at no shortage of weapons going into next season.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't catch it. Did you say MVS is in there?
MVS? I didn't say MVS. Yeah.
He's the senior guy right now on the wide receiving core, basically, which is kind of crazy to think about considering his first year here last year. But they've got competition at that position. And our man John C. is bringing up the Ross. They're not brothers, but I call them the Ross brothers or the Ross twins.
Ross twins.
I'm still really pumped about Justin Ross. And I know a lot of people on Twitter and on social media, which this shouldn't shock anybody about Twitter, we're kind of dumping on Justin Ross. And he'll be lucky to make the team. And he's not going to make the team. And all you people, he's another Josh Gordon. He's not another Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon came here after sitting out basically 5 or 6 seasons, was past his prime, was on the back end of his 20s. He wasn't down there at Camp Patrick. He was dropping passes. The guy his situation and Justin Ross's situation are not the same at all. And I went back and forth with some folks on Twitter about that for a while. Not any guarantee that they won't both end up not being productive players for the Chiefs at wide receiver, but the situation is not the same. I know why. I know Justin Ross, especially, he's had the issues with the injuries, but he was a guy. We've talked about this before. People were talking about that he was going to be the number 1 wide receiver prospect in his draft class when it was time for him to come out. After he was at Clemson. And he was on that team with T. Higgins and, what was the other receiver's name that was there? And he was outproducing all those guys. T. Higgins is a guy that people are saying the Bengals aren't going to be able to afford to keep him and Joe Burrow because he's so good and he's going to command such a huge salary after his contract is up. I believe T. Higgins last year is this year. If they don't extend him after this coming season, he can be gone. So, they've got a lot of competition at that room. Guys are going to be fighting and clawing. Sky Moore, be interesting to see what he can do after a lackluster rookie season. I know he caught I know he caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but any one of us right now watching this show, and including Nick and I, could have caught that touchdown pass in that Super Bowl. When you see the back camera angle of it, there's not a Philadelphia defender on that half of the field, on that side of the field. So he caught it. He scored the touchdown. I'm happy for him. But let's not act like he made some huge move and made a clutch catch in a clutch moment in the Super Bowl. I hope the guy produces more this year. But 300 yards and no touchdowns outside of a gimme touchdown in the Super Bowl is really quite honestly not good enough for your second-round guy. He's got a lot of room to go, and he needs to grow a lot between year 1 and year 2. So kind of reminds me of Cole Hardman, like a guy that might make plays here and there, but it definitely did not establish himself his first year. We'll see if he can take that leap into the second year. Then after that, the Chiefs picked some guys in the secondary. There was a guy that was interesting to me who played at Texas, big school in the Big 12. Keandre Coburn, the defensive tackle, can play in there. That dude is huge. I want to say he was like 6'7", 300+ pounds, just a big clogger right there in the middle of the line. In the middle of the line, help Chris Jones maybe shore up some of that run defense and allow Chris Jones to rush the passer more. They also picked up that guy B.J. Thompson, another edge rusher, a raw talent.
Yeah.
You know who that kind of reminded me of, that pick, when I saw his size and his athleticism and but kind of his lack of experience or production? You want to take a guess, Nick? Defensive
Somebody
line?
that's currently on the team?
No. Really tall guy, had long arms.
With Derek Thomas?
No, had kind of a funky name.
Shit,
You
I don't know.
remember Tano Passigno, the guy that they drafted out of, I believe, Villanova?
Like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, it was like 9.5 feet tall. Him and Paxton Lynch were 12 feet tall, and yeah. So that pick kind of reminds me of that. Well, what did you think? I don't want to get too bogged down talking about the 5th and 6th and the 7th rounders.
Sure.
But what do you think, Keandre Coburn? I know you don't watch a lot of college football, but a starter on Texas offensive line, you got him in the 5th round, and then you got another edge rusher who's kind of a project guy, who a lot of people are really excited by his metrics. Like I said, his size, his wingspan, his 40 speed, some of his cone drills were really good. What do you think about the later round picks? Pretty happy with them?
Yeah. We got another tackle out of Oklahoma in the 3rd round. So that's a position that I was hoping that we would address in the draft. So, we got Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma, right, in the 2nd round. So hopefully they can hit another home run with that pick and not burn, that 1st round pick on a tackle, which is what I was thinking they were going to do. But it looks like they addressed all the positions that you would hope, right? They got a wide receiver, they got an edge rusher, they got kind of that safety corner, right? I mean, they've got tackles. I mean, it's got a linebacker. All the positions looks like we addressed. We traded up, so that they had their eyes on a couple of these guys pre-draft. Went up to get their guy. Weren't afraid to lose a couple of these extra picks. So I feel like it's a solid draft. I feel like Kansas City is loaded with talent. We're deep with talent at some key positions. We added in some areas where we really did need some depth, and I'm excited to see now that some of these rookies from the defense last year are going to be in their 2nd year, right?
Yeah.
Now they've got a couple of new guys coming in, but you're going to have Carl Loftus in his 2nd year. Some of these guys in the secondary are not going to be rookies, right? They'll have played against the best talent in the league in the playoffs. And
McDuffie and Cook, Brian Cook.
Yeah. I mean, you're just like, those guys now, they think about that experience of having a 2nd year guy that has also played in an AFC championship game and a Super Bowl, right? I mean, it's just, that's huge. Not only is it just extra games, but it's against the best teams in the league. So I'm excited, man. I feel like we're loaded to bear with talent, and it's just going to be, how can they perform? So,
yeah. I'm going to let the viewers in on a little secret here. Chiefs are going to be pretty fucking good next year. Okay, so get ready. They're going to be good next year. I'm excited. I'm pumped for next year and what this team can do. Yeah, I kind of skipped over the 3rd round pick. What was his name? Wanya. Gosh darn, I can't think of his name now.
Wanya Morris.
Wanya Morris, yeah. Offensive lineman from Oklahoma. There's no shortage of guys. Orlando Brown Jr. was in Oklahoma. Lineman, the guy that left and went
Big
to
Doug,
the
Big Doug Sharon. He's an Oklahoma fan.
Yeah, OUMFers. That's that inside joke with Big Doug there, but yeah, they you mentioned it earlier. There's nothing more irritating than hearing people say like, "Oh, we're going to take the best player available," and you hear GMs and coaches and personnel people on teams say that. I'm sure there are some teams that do that, but really, if you're looking at it, if the Chiefs were to do that, then they would have picked Will Levis with the last pick in the first round because he was the guy a lot of people were projecting as a top 4 pick, right? They don't need another quarterback. If you're loaded up at linebacker and the best player available is a linebacker, why would you pick a linebacker? Go get you a guy, the best player available at the position you need. The difference isn't going to be that much. So they did. There it is. Big Doug. Big Doug down there in OU country, down there in Tulsa. So, yeah, exciting draft. They went out and people were saying their biggest needs were wide receiver and offensive line and defensive line, and the first 3 picks were defensive line, wide receiver, offensive line. Trey Smith reunites with Wanya too. There, they played together at Tennessee, so there's some chemistry. People always talking about gelling on the offensive line, and takes a while when you bring new guys in. Maybe that helps speed up that process a little bit. Having some familiarity with each other. Playing there in Volunteers, Trey Smith has been a dog.
Yeah.
What do they say on Pat? That's what Pat McAfee, they say. He's a dog. Been a hell of a late round pick. I think they got him in the 4th or the 5th round. So Chiefs have crushed drafts the last few years. Veach was a little iffy his first draft or two there. And some guys on there like Breland Speaks and some other guys that kind of made you scratch your head.
CEH.
CEH. We'll get to the human snail here in a little bit, but I'm pumped about the draft. KC, kudos to the city too. Crushed it. I didn't make it down there. I like the draft. I like seeing who we got, but especially the first round, I was thinking, man, it's going to be 7 hours of standing down there to see the Chiefs on the clock for 8 minutes or whatever it was. But the city was cool. I actually, some of my customers and were doing some of the work down there and whatnot. So I actually kind of go down there behind Union Station. I saw kind of them setting it up and everything. And it was impressive that stage.
It was unrecognizable, really. I mean, it was really impressive what they built, and
it looked great on TV. The crowds were huge. So over 300,000. A lot of those were probably repeats, but who cares? Still 300,000 people showed up. I'd like to get your thoughts. I know your thoughts. We've talked about it, but I'd kind of like to see what the thoughts are of the people in the chat about all the crying about the Chiefs bringing out the Super Bowl trophies before the draft. And the draft is about the NFL, not the Chiefs, and they shouldn't have done that. Dude, I mean, go win the Super Bowl the year your team hosts the drafts, and you can do it too. Like, what, you thought that the Chiefs weren't going to celebrate being the first team to win the Super Bowl and then host the draft? I put out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter account Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes coming out before the first round started and kind of wandering and moseying around with the Super Bowl trophy and stealing the mic from Roger Goodell there. They were kind of like Ben Stiller in Happy Gilmore, where he's the nurse at the old folks home. And he's like,
yeah,
see the name tag? You're in my world now, Grandma. Like, just telling the rest of the NFL and all their fans and all these people from these other teams that were there making picks, like, the NFL is the Chiefs' world, and you're just living in it right now. It was pretty sweet. Nick, thoughts on the crying?
Yeah, no, I have a little bit of a different take on this, actually, because I didn't really think that much of it, because being down there, I mean, you have a crowd of 100,000 Chiefs fans.
Right.
Like, what did you expect they were going to do? You know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a difference in like a live event, right? Seeing something at a live event versus the perception of it on TV as a TV event. And so I think for everybody down there, even the fans of the other teams, I didn't see anybody that was just like, oh, you know, I mean, there were a lot more than just Chiefs fans there. I mean, there are fans of every single team there. Yeah. And it seemed natural just because, like, yeah, well, you're in Kansas City. Like, there's 1 million Chiefs fans here. We won the Super Bowl, you know, a couple months ago. So, yeah, of course they had Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce come out and, like, pump the trophies up. I mean, I didn't even think about that until I saw some babies on Twitter like a couple days later crying about it. I mean, like I couldn't tell you how little I care about people that get upset over something like that. I just can't.
Karens, man, a bunch of
Dude,
Karens.
it's so laughable. Like, dude, you must be living a really, really good life if the biggest thing you got to bitch about is that a city that just won the Super Bowl and it wasn't like an hour-long thing. It's not like we had a big parade and we had like a big event. It was like they came out for 30 seconds. So, yeah, I mean, I couldn't care less about people that were upset by that. Like, it makes me feel good that you're upset because I just like you're just being a silly person at that point.
Yep. The other thing too was to me, which I thought was just dumb about the backlash that they got for celebrating their Super Bowls and bringing the trophies and everything out, and Patrick and Travis coming out before, because people were like, it was Carolina's stage. They were the first round pick. Well, I mean, they were the worst team in the league. Well, they weren't the worst team because they traded for that pick, but they were pretty bad last year. And after all of the talk the last year or two or three about how all the Bills have passed up the Chiefs now, all the Bengals have passed up the Chiefs, all the Chargers are going to win the division, oh, the Broncos got Russell Wilson, Chiefs, they might be the third or fourth best team in the AFC West now. They were going to rub it in everybody's face because they've been getting hated on and disrespected for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years when they've owned the NFL. No team has been as dominant, as consistently good as the Chiefs have been the last 4 seasons. So they rubbed it in their face, and rightfully so.
Eat it,
moving
haters.
on from haters, Karens, man, a bunch of Karens crying out there. Look, you just keep crying because we love it here in Chiefs Kingdom. It just makes us happier. The other thing I thought was funny too is all of the pics I saw people on social media posting. It was like, yo, Bengals fans and Bills fans really in line to take pictures with the Chiefs Super Bowl trophies. I thought that was pretty funny. You're not going to see me in any line to get a picture with the Bills Super Bowl trophy if they ever win one. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'll be missing that line. Waiting in line to take a picture with your rival's trophy, ridiculous.
Nuts.
Moving on from the draft, some big Chiefs news. They re-signed the other Jet. I guess we had 2 Jets. Jerick McKinnon, baby, is back in Chiefs Kingdom. That guy is we were talking about this earlier, Nick. He's like a fan favorite, man. That dude.
Oh, yeah.
The timeline on Twitter and I'm sure over on the Instagram and the Facebook, people were pumped that Jerick McKinnon was back on the Chiefs. I know I was pumped, and I'm a big Jerick McKinnon fan because not only did he help the Chiefs win the Super Bowl last year, but he also helped bring me some fantasy football championships last year.
There you
Came
go.
out of nowhere towards the end of the season when my running backs were fading a little bit and just crushed it. Brought me a ship, won me some dough. So I'm a big Jerick McKinnon fan. I would love to get a McKinnon jersey, and this is probably going to be an unpopular take here, but number 1 is the worst jersey number. Like, I don't know what it is. It looks bad.
Looks like a kicker.
It looks like a kicker's number.
Yeah.
The only single-digit number that really looks good on it. What's that?
I said, sorry, Jerick.
Oh, no. Really, there's only 1 or 2 single-digit numbers that look good on a jersey, and one is the deuce, and the other is the number 7. But every time I see the number 7, I think of John Elway and old horse face. So, I mean, I was at Chiefs Pro Shop day before yesterday and was looking at some jerseys, and they had a Butker jersey, and I was like, man, they do game-winning kick to go to the Super Bowl, game-winning kick to win the Super Bowl. I can't rock a number 7 jersey. So I would love to get a McKinnon jersey, and I'm sure I can sport the one. I'm also old school to where when I was growing up playing sports, nobody got to wear 1 because nobody's number 1 on the team, right? So there's a little bit of that old school mentality to me growing up. Jerick McKinnon was a beast last year. He actually had more receiving touchdowns than Justin Jefferson, who a lot of people were saying was the best wide receiver in the league, was setting records. Nick, how do you feel about the Jet landing back here with the Chiefs and KC? And, of course, he freezes and locks up. Right when I go to him, was the chat. I think I got some people in here in the chat. like to know what you think about McKinnon. I know Laney was happy to see Jerick McKinnon back with the Chiefs. I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed our man John V isn't in the chat right now.
Can you see me?
Looks like we got Nick back. Never fails, go right to you, and then that's when you
I know.
Up, but
your take was so good it popped the GFI circuit in my basement. So
broke.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked to have McKinnon back. I mean, I know he's just turned 31. Happy birthday. But I think that the reason that people like McKinnon, aside from the fact that he scored a lot of touchdowns for us, is, I mean, because they liked him before that, he's just seems like a pretty unselfish player. Seems like a kind of guy that will go in and do whatever the team asks him to do. You know, you saw him staying in a lot, blocking for Patrick, right? Especially in the playoffs when he was hurt. I mean, and not just like chip, blocking. I mean, he was knocking people off their ass. He's there's that pretty famous quote where he's like, I flipped him, like he's like, I flipped him. Like, and he's like, look up at the big. So I'm excited to have that dude back. He's not going to be, the guy that's going to get, 1,500 yards on the ground, but we don't need that. We need somebody that can get first downs and get touchdowns in the red zone. And he's proven that he can do both. I mean, he was the dude that heads up on the famous or infamous, if you're a Broncos fan, play where Mahomes did the no look flip for a, 50+ yard touchdown. That was McKinnon, having the forethought to start running, knowing that Patrick was going to get him the ball, right? And he's like, I thought maybe he might do some crazy shit, and it's like crazy shit it is. So he just seems like a good dude that's willing to do whatever the team asks of him, right? In the Super Bowl, he didn't get a lot of play, right? But if you watch, he was leading those blocks into the end zone on those plays. I mean, he adds a lot of value to the team beyond just yards and points. Yeah. So I'm super stoked to have him back. I'm even more stoked that I know he's not in the chat, but I'm even more stoked for John V to see that we re-signed him because he is a huge Jerick McKinnon fan. So biggest. So if you guys just make sure that you go on to the locker room rant next week and make sure you talk about how excited John is that Jerick McKinnon got another contract. So
yeah, congratulate John V on the Chiefs re-signing Jerick McKinnon. I really wish John V was in here right now so he could share in the joy of the Chiefs bringing back Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon also had the touchdown against the Texans, right, in the overtime, the game winner that sealed the division.
Called his shot,
was in the huddle. It was like, oh, man, give me the ball. I'm going to score right here. And I think Patrick was like, just make sure you get a first down. He goes, I'm taking it to the house. I'm in this. I'm calling game. He called game and then called game. So, really happy for that guy to come back. And I didn't see that. I'm sure it's probably another 1-year deal. Yeah, John C. likes Jet. I also see John C. was here, was number one in all the Little League years. So, I mean, I knew it was going to be an unpopular opinion. I just don't like number one on the jersey. I don't know why that is. But
don't worry, mister. We'll get off your grass.
Yeah. I mean, I like 0. And I like 2, but something about 1 just like says it just looks weird on there, man. I don't know. I was never allowed to be was never allowed to wear it growing up, and but I don't know. I might have to go get a Jet jersey because, like I said, I helped the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and help me win a fantasy football championship in a league that I've been close a lot of years in that league. I know no one in watch right now gives a shit about my fantasy football league, but I've been playing this league with some friends of mine for a long time, and there's a lot of trash talk and a lot of second place finishes in that league. He got me over the hump, so good to see him come back. Chiefs will obviously have the Jet and Isaiah Pacheco. Chiefs declined the 5th-year option on CEH. It's not looking good for old Clyde. Nick, what do you expect? The Chiefs actually, they got Deneric Prince was. Yeah. I mean, it was like 2 minutes after the draft was over, and it was Chiefs announced they signed undrafted free agent Deneric Prince. Did he play at Tulsa down there by Big Doug? I want to say so. Maybe someone can look that up for me and fact check me there. But I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that he played there. The Golden Hurricanes, Tulsa. Another speedster running back, a guy like Isaiah Pacheco, unheralded guy that's got some speed. Nick, Clyde's days numbered on the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's done with the Chiefs. I think, you saw that he lost the starting role to Pacheco. We're signing guys, undrafted free agents, and brought back McKinnon. I think that's kind of the death knell for CEH here. I hope he lands on his feet somewhere. I don't wish the guy any ill will. And maybe he just didn't fit into like our offensive system. Maybe there's another team that's more run heavy, like 49ers have some blocking schemes where he would do better. So, I don't wish him any ill will, but I mean, I think that, outside of the first round hype that he got when we drafted him and having a few good games in his first season, the guy was never really all that good, right? I mean, for us, he had some decent plays, but he just didn't live up to a first round pick, especially when, Jonathan Taylor's sitting on the board, right? You talk about drafting best available. Like, there are a couple of times when drafting the best available may have been a better option for us, right? Getting Jonathan Taylor instead of CEH, getting, you know, who's the guy for the Seahawks we drafted over we drafted Mecole Hardman over
DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf. So, so look, there's a couple of misses there. He was obviously a miss, especially at a first round pick for a running back. But, it's unfortunate. Like we it's like you always said, we didn't want him to not be good. He just wasn't all that good, right? I mean, he just I don't know, didn't have the speed to get around the edge, and it seems like, he was supposed to be like that dude that would just truck people, and we just never really saw it materialize for us. But the Chiefs aren't a ground and pound team, right? Even Pacheco didn't. I mean, he had a good year, but I mean, he wasn't lighting the world on fire. No. So I think that maybe CEH could go to a different team and have some success, and I hope that somebody picks him up and gives him a shot. I mean, look at Jerick McKinnon, right? We're talking about that guy, setting records last year, Super Bowl champion, and he's a guy that, got a big contract and then was hurt, and kind of we picked off of the scrap heap, and he's made a career with us out of it. So I wish him the best of luck, but I think he's done with the Chiefs for sure, right?
Yeah, so small and slow is not really good attributes for a running back in the National Football League, especially not for a first-round running back. All the talk was about, look how many passes he caught at LSU. Look how many passes he caught at LSU. Well, LSU was like an NFL team playing against college teams that year too, with Burrow and Chase and freaking Clyde Edwards. Well, that team was stacked, man. Like, I'll never forget sitting on your couch, seeing that name come through, and I shook my head.
You were pissed.
It happened, and I was pissed. And people were telling me I was a hater and that I was being a Karen and I need to get over it. And he was really good. And slowly but surely, over the last 3 or 4 seasons, I think everybody except for cousin Tyler's come around to the fact that he just I don't know.
He bought a jersey,
So yeah, I'm not gonna call the guy a bust, but
you shouldn't call our cousin Tyler a bust. That's not very cool.
No, well, yeah, I would never call Tyler a bust, but CEH, I don't know that you can say he's a bust, but he definitely was not a first round pick, and it's not his fault. The Chiefs picked him way earlier than they should have. So, I've been wanting them to move on, and I thought last year they should have gone with Pacheco and McKinnon earlier, and they did. They came around at the end of the season. Maybe some of that was keeping them fresh too.
Yeah,
Clyde got hurt, and that kind of slid them into the number 1 and number 2. That did kind of like the tandem there between Jet and Pacheco. But maybe some of that was keeping those guys fresh for late in the year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. They're going to have 3 running backs on the team. I think Pacheco and I think McKinnon obviously are locks, and then that last position is going to come down to Prince and Clyde, and maybe he makes the team. But
I saw my guy Derek Gore got released. Maybe we could pick him up.
Yeah, Bo be happy. We go back and get Derek Gore. Bo would be doing cartwheels and popping champagne bottles. So, yeah, John Clifford, John C., our guy here, brings up a good point too, that Clyde went to some fashion show instead of going to the Super Bowl parade. I think he was probably a little salty that he lost his spot. That's another thing about that guy is, and I don't want to, we're on a 10-minute rant about Clyde Edwards-Helaire here, but he was a guy to me that always seemed like he thought like he was better than he was, and like he didn't need to earn it. I don't know. I just got that vibe.
Kind of like the anti-Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, kind of like the anti-Jerick McKinnon. That's a great point. That's exactly what I was thinking, where I was trying to go with that. But, he had the injury last year, the leg injury, and then he's posting videos of him riding four-wheelers and shit. And I'm like, well, you're like recovering from injury. Like, I get it, he wasn't out there playing basketball, but how many times have you hit a dip or got airborne on a four-wheeler or something, or rolled over and you stepped on your ankle, or you hit a bump and jammed your leg down? To me, it just didn't seem like the thing that an NFL running back that's on injured reserve that's trying to get back should be doing. But then again, what do I know? I'm not a doctor. And I'm not.
When you're hoping that they're going to pick up your fifth-year option the following year, you're probably not a.
Yeah.
You just got to wonder like who he's got advising him of that too, right? I mean, obviously not surrounded by the best advisors, or maybe he is and he just doesn't listen. So,
yeah. Got Laney in the comments. Royals won tonight. Shit, talk about popping champagne. Had to pop some champagne for those Royals.
I know they're not going to win a lot this year, so you got to savor every one.
Right. I see our girl Brenda has made it. Jumped in here. Good to see you, Brenda. Thanks for joining us.
We're really sorry to hear that the Cardinals won. So,
yeah, Cardinals and Royals both struggling this year. So, neither of those teams living up. Well, I think the Royals are living up to expectations, but Cardinals definitely not. But yeah, John C.
I got my All-Star hat on here that you got me.
Yeah, I saw that. I noticed that. I was wondering if we were gonna start calling this Royals Kingdom Live or
shit, man. You're lucky I showed up at all. I barely got ready and got back here in time. So,
all right, looks like we got Northern Sapar here with a once in a lifetime opportunity to grow our channel and get rid of those pesky chat bots. Thanks for joining in, North Spar. Make sure you click subscribe and like while you're here.
That's from our Twitch, where we, I think, have 0 followers and 0 viewers every week.
Yeah.
We're not really hitting it big on Twitch, are we?
I don't even use Twitch. Is anybody even on Twitch anymore? I don't know. But
that's like gaming streaming typically, right? So
yeah. Click like and subscribe while you're here.
Tyreek Hill's big on Twitch. He streams.
Yeah, he does. He gets on GTA, and kind of wish I had PlayStation sometimes when I see Tyreek Hill. He's online and he's like, who wants to run? Who wants to play some Madden? Or who wants to get on here and play some GTA? That'd be cool to play GTA with Tyreek Hill. Get some video games, just Call of Duty with Cheetah. Although Call of Duty's got to be so far advanced at this point, and I was so shitty at it even when it was new. I mean, I would be like dead as soon as I respawned over and over and over and over on Call of Duty.
Just getting teabagged by 12-year-old Japanese kids.
Right, just getting crushed by some 8-year-old that has got the game mastered. But this guy at my work was always somebody who plays Call of Duty with his son. His son's like 6. He's like, man, he smokes me like every time. Like I can't even kill him one time. He gets me 20 kills to none. And he's like, it started pissing me off. And he's like, he starts talking about it. Like, so then my son's like, let me kill him, which pisses me off even more than him just wiping me out over and over and over. But yeah, appreciate you stopping by there, spam bot. Make sure, like I said, you click like and subscribe. And if you're watching right now and you haven't clicked like and you're a real viewer, make sure you click like. We need to get the likes up. That would help us get the channel growing and get some more, maybe get some dough rolling in so we can do some more giveaways. We've got a giveaway going on in the works. So,
Brenda, we got to hope that somebody would be willing to trade CEH.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, if they can get something for him, they definitely should.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's going to be trading for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I saw some people saying that the Chiefs should trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire like a 5th-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins, and I would say if I was driving, I would have drove my car off the road.
I mean, they might trade for like one of those DeAndre Hopkins Funko Pops or something.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I mean, not for the player.
Yeah, one of those banners that they hang up outside the stadium's got a picture of DeAndre Hopkins printed on it. But some other NFL and Chiefs news here. The schedule releases next Wednesday. Is that right, Nick?
Yeah, I believe so.
The NFL schedule. Be interested to see. I want to know if you're in the chat right now. Who do you think the Chiefs play week 1? Who do you think when they release that NFL schedule next year? Chiefs open the season at home, Super Bowl champions. Who do you think that they play? The possible opponents would be obviously any of the division opponents. And then I want to say they play the Bengals at home. They play.
I've got it right here. Hold on. So we've got
it right here.
Mr.
Technology.
So our full opponents home, like you said, AFC West, we got Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. We play the Bills, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bears, which I believe that team is leaked as being in Germany.
Yeah,
the Lions, and the Eagles. So
I doubt it's
interesting.
Lions.
You've got Lions.
No, I doubt it's the Lions.
Oh, I doubt it's Lions. I'm guessing it's either going to be Bills, Bengals, or Eagles, right? I mean, just because those are the playoff teams, but I don't know. I also think that they may want to keep some of those games for later because big draw, right, on prime time. The schedule makers, if they can have that. I mean, they typically have that Bengals game later in the season, but John, I'm gonna jump real quick. John's asked about this a couple of times now. So Donovan Smith, I saw that. I haven't been able to dig into it that much, right? I think, I saw the headline that, he went from Brady to Mahomes. So.
Yeah, I looked at some of his numbers the last couple of seasons. And like last year, I want to say he had 12 penalties and gave up 6 or 7 sacks. And I think he's like a depth player. Well, that's a lot of money to give a depth player.
That's a lot of money. Yeah, I was going to say $9 million is not.
Mahomes is going to make any offensive lineman, especially tackle, look better because of his escapability. Tom Brady wasn't escaping anything. I mean, he was
152 years old last year when he was playing. So.
Right. I mean, I joked about Ben Roethlisberger. His last year standing in the pocket was like having a cutout of him.
An actual
statue. In the pocket. That was big. Tom Brady last year was like having a picture of a cutout standing in the pocket, taped up there in the pocket. He's a guy that Mahomes will make look better. I would like to think that Jawan Taylor, the signing of him, and with Lucas Niang on the team, and then with the tackle there from Oklahoma, we talked about him. I can never remember the guy's last name, Wanya. What was his last name, Nick?
I got to look it up. Hold on.
I would think between the three of those are going to be Wanya Morris. I think between the three of those are going to be 2 of your starting tackles on the offensive line. But maybe it's a guy they brought in for competition, and maybe he fits our scheme better. Who knows? Like I said, Tom Brady was a sitting duck back there. I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, sacking that guy. So maybe he's not as bad as the numbers suggested. $9 million is a pretty good paycheck, and I think some of that's incentive-based. So, but an interesting signing. I did see that, and I kind of looked him up a little bit earlier. I didn't really see a whole lot that made me too optimistic about him. But I'm not super familiar with his game either.
So Brenda's saying Raiders or Dolphins here for the opening home team. Yeah, Dolphins might be their playoff team last year, right?
Yeah. The return of Tyreek Hill to Arrowhead. He's been talking some trash, and I think a lot of it was in good fun, but he was back here for the draft. They had like a Legends flag football game. Mm-hmm. He came in, and I don't know if the folks watching here have Snapchat, but I subscribed to the Cheetah on Snapchat, and he was snapping as he was going to the stadium, and it was funny. He's like, "Man, I'm back," and he's like, I'm scoring 2 touchdowns here next year. And I replied back to him, I have no idea if you saw it or not. I said, your days of scoring touchdowns in Arrowhead are over, brother. Like, it ain't going to happen. So, but yeah, Dolphins could be a possibility. I could see. I think it's going to be the Eagles. If I was going to bet on it, I'd put my money on the Eagles. Get that Super Bowl rematch going while it's still fresh on people's minds. Right. Both teams will be healthy. That gives the Eagles some extra rest. So I don't know that maybe they don't want to do an NFC AFC team to start off with. It seems like those are usually intra-conference games that they do, whether or not that's just coincidence or whether that's by design.
Oh, last year they opened it up with the Rams and the Bills, right?
Yeah, they did. But it seems like I don't know. It seems like I remember like the years before that was the Chiefs and the Patriots, right? Was one of them not too long ago there.
Yeah, after we won, it was Chiefs and the Texans rematch from the divisional round.
Rematch of the divisional round. So that could be just coincidence. I might not even be remembering that correctly. Hell, who knows? But
I'm gonna go Bengals. I think they're gonna have Burrow and Mahomes to open up the season.
I really hope it's not the Bengals because that's gonna put me in a tough position because
you have to go to the game instead of selling your tickets.
Right. You can get a pretty good return on your tickets.
I was gonna say, can you imagine what those tickets would go for if it's the Bengals?
And I've been to a ton of home openers, and I'm not a millionaire, so I got to recoup some of my money. On the
all right, everybody in the chat, so Bo went out drinking with his buddy. What's the over under on how many drinks Bo's had today?
I want to see it in the chat. Well, we got to set the over under. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah,
9.5.
I was gonna go 8, so let's do 8.5.
8.5 drinks for Bo. I bet Bo don't even know. Bo's saying take the over. I mean, I wanted to say 11.5 or 12.5, Bo, but I wanted to be a little more respectful than that. But, yeah, I don't know. I really want to go watch them raise the Super Bowl flag and rub it in the Bengals' face. If they open the season and do all the pregame shit, oh man!
And then if we fucking stomp them,
oh yeah, and then kick their ass. Yeah, that'd be a great way. I don't know. There's a better way to start the season than that. So, but yeah, I don't know. I saw Brenda put in the comments that she thinks it's gonna be the Raiders or Dolphins. Who else? Anybody else in the comments I missed here? Who do they think Chiefs are going to play week 1 at Arrowhead to kick the season off?
So all the home opponents here, let me pull it back up. So
I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, so we've got Bills, Bengals, Dolphins, Bears, Lions, and Eagles. And the Bears game is going to be in Germany. So
pretty sure Bears is going to be in Germany, yeah. Laney's going Bungles. Yeah, John C. Drunk Bows, buy more Super Bowl tickets. Now would be the time to buy them. You probably get them cheaper. That still pisses me off. He went to the Super Bowl. God damn, I got to go to the Super Bowl now.
Bo is the worst.
Bo is the worst. Although, I don't know. We've been in some pretty dope. Nick and I were talking about that, how many games I was trying to add up in my head the other day how many Chiefs games I've been to. And we were talking about just they did this whole
my phone. What sparked it was my phone made one of those collages of all your stuff, and it's like, hey, hanging out with Scott through the years, and it's like, oh, there's the Texans game where we came back from 24 down. There's the Titans AFC Championship. There's the Bills 13-second game. There's the it was just kept going and going and going.
I saw there was a Rams game out in St. Louis, out in the Lou that we went to. Went to a couple games out there. Yeah, man, I could do a lot of things. I don't know if it's a good idea, but
yeah. All right, Bo's coming up real here. He's saying 6. He's losing his edge.
Oh man, 6.
Well, is this like 6 pints?
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
I mean, if you're talking about 6 pints of that shit like that you drink, like that IPA or all that. I mean that super hoppy high alcohol percentage. So
100 proof beer.
you just got to rub it
Yeah,
in, don't you, jackass? Almost
right,
is cool.
almost.
I mean, almost. It's not, but you know, it's good for you and your
So
level of income.
does the 13-second game against the Bills and the AFC Championship game against the Titans and the AFC Championship game against the Bengals, do all three of those, does that eclipse the Super Bowl? Are we even?
We were at Andrew Luck's last game too, when he saw Patrick Mahomes play and was like, "Fuck this! I ain't playing in this league
Andrew Luck
anymore."
was like, I'm out. I'm
Getting
hurt all
beat
the
up
time
just
to
to lose
lose
that
to
guy
this
every
guy.
year.
No, thank you.
Nope. I'm tapping out.
Laney's in the chat. 6 gallons.
6 gallon. Yeah. There you go. 6. There now the truth comes out. 8%.
8%. You know what? 5%. The difference between a 5% beer and an 8% beer doesn't really sound like that much. You're thinking 3%. What the? Hey, that's a big difference.
50% more, right?
What's that?
It's like almost 50% more.
Yeah.
I
guess we look at it as a percentage.
I'm bad at math.
Brenda, getting my heart racing here, talking about back-to-back. We were talking about that before you jumped in, Brenda, how bad I want back-to-back Super Bowls. I wanted it so bad, that Tampa Bay Super Bowl, to run it back. Oh, man, I want that.
So let me ask a question here. So because we're talking about back-to-back, right? So in my mind, you know, unless Mahomes could somehow get to the 7 Super Bowls that Brady did, which we all know that that's pretty unlikely, right? Like there's really kind of 2 things in my mind that he could do that would maybe like put him into that conversation even without getting to that many. And it's like, to me, it's like a 3-peat or an undefeated season. So if you had the choice between an undefeated season with the Super Bowl or a 3-peat, which one would you pick?
I'm taking the 3-peat.
Was that too easy of a question? Everybody go 3-peat?
No, it's easy for me. I don't know what the chat thinks.
Because it's like 3 years. It's just like dominating for 3 years would just.
Yeah. I mean, 3 straight years winning the Super Bowl. That's
like, that's it, right? Like if he can't get to 70, we got to do one of those 2 for him to be
right
in that.
We'll just do both. Just have one of those 3-peats be an undefeated season.
Yeah. Why not?
The guy plays the AFC Championship game every year. So
he went to 5 in a row. That's fucking insane, dude. I just I think about that and I still can't believe it happened.
Yeah, that would be something that 3-peat would also. The Dolphins have a perfect season, right? A 3-peat would be something that's never happened.
Yeah, but the Dolphins had it in a 14-game regular season.
Yeah, it don't matter though.
Yeah, it does.
I don't.
And there was like 4.
Then you have to say all of the passing yard records that he has don't count because there was records set before him that were in 14-game seasons, and he's had 17 games. So I don't know. I don't think you can have it both ways.
Yeah.
Bo's having a hard time picking between. Hard to say which. I mean, I'm going 3-peat.
I think I'd go 3-peat too, just because on top of getting the 3-peat, you also get to celebrate 3 separate Super Bowl wins, right?
Mm-hmm. And that would mean Mahomes has 4 at this point, right? At least.
Yeah.
Like if he won the next 2,
he would have a minimum of 4 with a 3-peat.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have 4 with something that nobody else has ever done. I mean, how many other quarterbacks have won 4 Super Bowls? Tom Brady, Joe
Montana and Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw.
That's it.
Anybody out there with 4? Anybody else with 4? I don't think so.
No. Troy Aikman has 3.
Right, because they won some of their other ones with Roger Staubach back in the old days. Brenda's going 3-peat. Brenda's taking us to the Super Bowl if she wins the lottery. Same here, Brenda. I'll take everybody. I'll take everybody watching this show to the Super Bowl if I win the lottery. but I only play the lottery when it gets up to like the crazy $900 million or whatever. So odds are even.
Yeah, if I'm not going to win money, I might as well not win like a lot of money, right?
Right. Let's get to. So we talked about the schedule release coming out. I also saw that Vegas has set the over-unders, the win totals for all the NFL teams for next season. I put out Chiefs Kingdom Live, the CKL poll. I was kind of slacking this week, and I forgot to do it earlier in the week. So we still got pretty good vote turnout for only running for a half a day. I put it out this morning. But Chiefs win total right now in Vegas is 11.5, which is a pretty high win total for an NFL team. I want to say last year it was 10.5, right? God, that was the easiest money ever. I should have put some money on 10.5. I mean, I almost think 10.5. I mean, let's Patrick Mahomes go. So that was free money. I don't know what I was doing.
Right. He hasn't ever won less than 12 games, right?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so. JT Campbell's taking the over. Good to see you, JT. Our man JT, dude, the Carolina Panthers, they owned the draft, really, especially that first round, right?
Yeah.
Got Bryce Young. Crushed it. I think that was the right pick too, JT. That's who I would have gone with. I know there's people saying CJ Stroud, and I know there was people that were saying that Richardson, the kid from Florida, after the combine and just how freakishly athletic that guy was, and some of the eye-popping numbers he put up in the 40 and the cone drills or whatever. But he's a pretty raw talent. I don't know.
You wouldn't have drafted a guy that could ride the roller coasters at Six Flags?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a short joke.
Yeah, no, I got it. But he was the guy. I mean, that was the guy to me. Was Bryce Young over CJ?
Yeah,
Stroud.
No, I think it's a great pick. I think that I wish him the best of luck. I like that team, and so they got their dude. They swung for the fences, and they got their guy. So best of luck to your team, JT. I made a couple of short jokes at his expense, but I mean, ultimately, I think that some of the height stuff is a little overrated. You've seen guys that are not as tall, right, as the prototypical quarterbacks that have had great success. They told Drew Brees he was too short. Russell Wilson that he's too short, right? So those guys have killed it in the league. So
smart player. He scored a 98% on that not the Wonderlic. They had some new test I'd never even heard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Bo was laughing at your bad jokes, Nick. So
thank you, man. Well, he's been drinking 8% beer, so
right, all day. That's they got talent on that team too. I tell you what, I like Terrace Marshall, the wide receiver. He was a guy that kind of came out, was underrated. I've had him stashed in dynasty fantasy leagues for a couple of seasons now. Just really hasn't had a good quarterback. Dude's freak, man. Athletically, you look at the numbers he put up in college, really good at the big school there. So maybe they can unlock him. Carolina, they were salty towards the end of the year last year. I was stunned last year when they lost to the Buccaneers. I thought they were going to win that division. I thought they were going to pull it out there coming down the stretch. So maybe Bryce Young puts them over the top. Maybe that gets it done. I'd love to see that for sure. I'd always
that division's wide open too, right? I mean, so
oh yeah.
I mean, Brady's gone, so I mean, it should be an interesting division to watch for sure. So, all right, well, let's. I'm gonna pull up let me get the deal presented here for the Twitter poll. We kind of waffled and went backwards there, so
that's right. We're off the rails now. I mean, not that we're ever really off on the rails, but we're off the rails for sure here. Bo's gone.
I'm trying to do this all on one screen. So, yeah. So, I mean, not a surprising result for me here. That 93% took the over. That is crazy to have that level of confidence in the team. But I mean, you just looking at the past, right, and the previous years, it's just, how could you not think that we're going to win at least 12 games in a 17-game season, right?
I mean, 12 wins is 12-5 with 17 games. What 5 teams are beating the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule, and it's like, I mean, I guess you got the Bills game's going to be tough, the Eagles game's going to be tough, the Bengals game's going to be tough.
Yeah, those are all at home.
Two Chargers games.
One of those at home.
They always play us tough. So
no, Bo, that's what I'm saying.
So,
like, I don't see them losing 5 games. I mean, the 3 toughest games are the Bills, the Bengals, and the Eagles, and they get all 3 of those at home.
Yeah.
I don't. We'll talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, but we get the Dolphins at home. That's a win. I'm sorry, the Dolphins they snuck into that weak ass 7 seed last year, and the Bills were collapsing. The fact that was even a game just went to show just how badly and how far south things had gone for the Bills the last month of the season last year.
It's crazy.
The Bills beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead last year. I don't see that happening again. I don't see them losing to the Bills for a 3rd straight season at home. They'll have that game circled on the calendar when the schedule's released. So, I don't. That almost seems like free money, even 11.5, which is wild to say because that's a huge total, win total for an NFL season. I mean, you see a lot of them are out there. Like, good teams are 8.5, 9.5. Injuries obviously could change anything. 100%. That's the thing you really worry about. Put money down on a win total, something like that. But, I might have to be getting that to Hollywood Casino here pretty soon. Get some action on that. Don't repeat the mistakes of last year. I do want to shift gears here, and I want to talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. We haven't had a chance to talk about him, the trade. First off, how do you think Green Bay Packers fans are feeling right now? I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Some people saying one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. You look, he's got 4 MVPs. Guy won a Super Bowl. But man, you had Aaron Rodgers all these years, and you won 1 Super Bowl, and then you pissed him off and ran him out of town. I mean, you're screwing up when your players want to leave you to go play for the Jets. Wasn't like he was like, oh, I want to go play with, all the Ravens. They got all these weapons. The Jets got weapons, but it's not even like he was like, oh, I want to go play for a contending team. He was like, I'll get anywhere. Send me to the Jets. Like, get me out of here. Man, they botched the hell out of that. Drafting.
They didn't really get a lot for Aaron Rodgers.
I talked about how stupid it would have been for the Chiefs to draft Will Levis in the first round of the draft this year. That's basically what the Packers did with Jordan Love. They never gave him they never picked a wide receiver in the first round. He loved Randall Cobb, and they just let him go. It seemed like they went out of their way to piss him off. What are you doing? It's unbelievable. But anyway, he's on the Jets now. There seems to be a lot of people that think that this is going to be another Russell Wilson situation with the Broncos. He's got a lot more weapons than the Broncos had for Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson's not a 4-time MVP. I know Aaron Rodgers looked kind of bad last year, but they started stringing it together last year. And if they would have had Devontae Adams or a good wide receiver outside of Allen Lazard on that team and the rookie Christian Watson, they would have been in the playoffs again last year after getting rid of Devontae Adams. What what do you think that this does for the Jets? Does this make them a contender? I saw there was people saying that this made them the favorite in the AFC for the Super Bowl and some other dumb shit like that. That's clickbait, hot take territory there. Well, what do you think? How do you think he looks with the Jets, and what do you think the Jets look like this season, Nick?
I mean, I think the Jets have a good defense, and so if you look at probably the most recent comp, be Peyton Manning in his last year with the Broncos, where declining skill but good enough with a good defense can take you a long ways, right? So I don't know. I have a hard time believing that the Jets are going to do anything good, right? Just because, like,
the Jets.
yeah, I mean, I just remember them going 1-15 when I was in like middle school, and just one of my buddies, Kyle Bittner, he was a Jets fan, and he just would laugh about it. He's like, "Ah, that's just how they are, like every year." I was like, "How do you do it, man?" He's just like, "Well, this is my team, you know." But
It didn't
I,
have to
I
be his team either. That was the thing. It's not like he lived in New York or anything. But
yeah, no, look,
what's up, Chris Daly?
yeah, what's
Good
up,
to see you,
Chris?
bro.
I just that trade. It seems like both teams, like the Packers didn't really get a lot, and now they're stuck with Jordan Love, and then the Jets, they gave up too much for a guy for that they're probably going to have for 1 year. It's just kind of a weird deal, right? So I don't know. The whole trade felt odd to me. I would have liked to see the Packers just try to mend the fences so that they could at least, he could just ride it out and retire with them. But I think that the Jets are definitely going to be good. They're going to be in a tough division, though, right? I mean, you say what you want about Tua, but the Dolphins, they were almost a team that won a playoff game against a division rival with a backup quarterback, right? Or a third string quarterback. So, they've got Tua, they've got the Cheetah, right? And then you're going to have the Bills. Now you've got Aaron Rodgers in the mix. That's going to be a tough division.
Yeah.
To get out of. So you'll probably have at least two teams that make the playoffs out of that division.
Yeah.
So, but I just don't see, even with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets getting that far when you've got Joe Burrow, you've got Herbert, right? You've got Mahomes. I mean, the AFC is just so stacked. It really just doesn't make a lot of sense for Aaron Rodgers to leave the NFC, where now Brady's gone and you've got Jalen Hurts, and I mean, who else in the NFC is there that like for him to contend with at this point? It was a really odd move for both teams and for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. It's one of those situations where I look at it and just none of it seemed to make sense to me. So
yeah, you're right, Bo. Jordan Love did look terrible against us. I was at that game, and he looked awful in person. Probably even worse than he looked on TV.
right.
I just remember I was at that game, and I was just thinking, they really drafted this dude in the first round when you had Aaron Rodgers in his prime winning MVPs. Like, what do you? It was like I said, it's like they were sitting around brainstorming ways to piss off Aaron Rodgers. How can we piss off our future first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And that sucks for the cheeseheads because they're like one of the iconic. Those people go freeze their ass off. You want to talk about the Bengals game? It was cold. You watch some of those Green Bay games in late December and early January playoff games, bro. It looks like deathly cold up there. Those fans are hardcore. They deserve better than that. I mean, could you imagine the Chiefs having Patrick Mahomes for 16 or 20 years and winning going to one Super Bowl? And that was kind of the knock against Rodgers, right? It's like, oh, we can't be one of the all-time greats because he only went to one Super Bowl and all this success. You look at that, like his lack of production and wins and success in the playoffs. You look at how many points per game he scored. They never had a defense. And then towards the end of his career, they never got him weapons, and the offense just started to deteriorate. And I mean,
I still understand the argument. I would already put Mahomes ahead of Aaron Rodgers as far as all-time great. Now, I'm obviously biased, but I mean, Mahomes went to 3 times the amount of Super Bowls, won twice the amount of Super Bowls. He's already got half the amount of MVPs, plus 2 Super Bowl MVPs. You got ghosts or something?
No, it sounded like I don't know, it sounded like something was on my front porch banging on my door, but not like knocking, bang. I'm good. Go ahead. I'm listening.
You're about to see one of them videos that goes viral.
You will, because I got the car right there ready to go. So.
So JT, I mean, look, this almost happened this year, right? The NFC wins the Super Bowl because the AFC pummels themselves. I mean, they just were like one extra little tweak on Patrick Mahomes away from the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, because I don't think any other team other than the Chiefs is going to beat the Eagles. So,
yeah, I think Rodgers going to the Jets makes it easier for the Chiefs, because I just see the Dolphins and the Jets and the Bills beating up on each other. I mean, the Jets split with the Bills this last season, went 1-1, right? I mean, you think that Aaron Rodgers makes them better, even if he's not quite prime Aaron Rodgers of a couple of years ago, winning MVPs, still better than anything they were rolling out there. Who did they have last year? Zach Wilson and what was the other guy? Mike White, right? Wasn't it the Jets quarterbacks last year? That's an upgrade. They got better. If they could sweep the Bills, or at least just still go 1-1, and the Dolphins can go 1-1 against the Bills. We saw it last year. One more loss can be the difference between being the 1 seed and being the 2 or the 3. I think that helps the Chiefs. I think that makes that division tougher, and I think anything that makes it tougher on the Bills makes it easier on the Chiefs, because it's all about that home field.
Agree. Yeah, and we're not playing that division this year, so, or are we? No, we are.
We are.
Yeah, we do play them. Yeah,
but we get, like I said, we get the Bills and the Dolphins at home, and then they go on the road to play the Jets. Back to the scene of the crime, the Marcus Peters throwing the flag into the crowd.
Oh my God, that game.
One of the funniest, weirdest.
As soon as I did it, I knew I was gone.
Chiefs history, and then like they didn't kick him out of the game, or they didn't say that they kicked him out of the game. So remember, he came back out and like he didn't have his socks on. His cleats and his socks were off, and I was not a Marcus Peters fan. I didn't like the antics. I didn't like the attitude. I thought he got the easiest interceptions I'd ever seen anybody get in all my years of watching football. But I absolutely loved it, because it was bullshit. The penalties they were calling on the Chiefs in that game. And I was just as bad. If I would have been on that field, I would have picked that flag up and threw it into the crowd as well. How about that fan, too, that got that flag? What a souvenir to get at a game. Like, you go home with one of the flags from the game. The broadcast was showing the fan in the crowd. And he was like that'd be a badass souvenir to get at a game. I mean, people go to the game and might get a ball handed to them after a touchdown, or you see a lot of players give their gloves and stuff like that to kids. But you got a ref's flag from an NFL game. That'd be sweet. I probably would have tried to see if I could get Marcus Peters to sign that.
Who was it? Who was the beer company that had the throwing the flag or whatever? Was that Miller?
Yeah.
Remember we had a bunch of those we'd throw at the TV?
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Like 20 getting pissed, just throw a flag at the TV. Yeah. That was the best. So who did it better, throwing the flag, Marcus Peters or Travis Kelce? When Travis Kelce took his towel and threw it on the ref.
Oh, no. Marcus Peters picked the flag up off the ground and threw it into the crowd, and a fan got it. I mean, Marcus Peters did it better.
Yeah.
Although it was funny when Travis threw the towel at the ref, and I remember not being that upset that he got kicked out of the game, because the guy was mugging the shit out of him in the end zone, and they don't call it. A clear as day, ref standing right there. You know, these refs, I get that you got to have your composure, but I mean, when you're that shitty at your job, someone should be allowed to call you out for it. He didn't hit him with the towel. He didn't throw it at him. That was the thing. He threw the towel at him. He threw the towel in his direction. He didn't throw it at him. He didn't hit him with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Kelce did not get a a pass interference call go his way for about 3 seasons after that too.
Right. Up until what, about last year?
Yeah.
Last
So
couple of years?
I just gotta say, JT, if you're talking to Lainey about Brady, she's never gonna admit anything good about Tom Brady because she has an
Or
unnatural
Peyton.
hatred for that man.
Or
Or
Peyton
Peyton
Manning.
Manning. Yeah. Anybody that has been high in the media that's not Patrick Mahomes, Lainey probably doesn't like him unless it's John Elway. She loves John Elway.
Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and any quarterback that ever played at the University of Oklahoma. She hates.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield.
More than just Baker. What was the guy before him? I had his name. I was getting ready to say it, and then now I just forgot it. I know Big Doug knows it. Big Doug's still in there. I haven't seen him comment in a while. Sam something. What the fuck was that guy's name from Oklahoma? Played for the Vikings for a while.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford.
Hated him. Peyton
Manning.
Peyton Manning. That's a pretty good name. We ought to trademark that and make the shirt along with the Joe Exotic Chiefsaholic 2024 shirts.
Oh, we got to get those.
The 2024 is right around the corner. We need to get. I know a guy that does that promotional stuff. I've got him kind of sort of working on some CKL beer koozies and some different swag that's not crazy expensive. And we could hook up the chat definitely with some stuff like that when we get it going and get out for the games. I want to get some giveaways and some things to do. Old glass boy. There you go. Yep. See, I told you. Y'all thought I was lying. I wasn't lying.
Yeah, Bradford, right. He was one of those dudes that, he was like Josh Rosen if he kept getting jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, Bo's got a fantasy name change. I don't know if you talking about Glass Boy or you talking about Hayden Manning? Or what are you
I think you're talking about Hayden Manning.
Dude, how has no one ever come up with Hayden Manning before? That's pretty funny.
I don't know, but I want a nickel every time somebody says it.
Better hurry up getting that copyright trademark off.
It's already out there. It's already on the
application going because someone in the chat's going to get it here pretty quick if you don't get it.
There's already shirts made.
All right. So I want to know from the chat, and I want to know from you, Nick. The Jets, they make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, they were on the cusp of being a playoff team already, right? So. I mean, a good defense, and who's their coach? Saleh. I mean, he's a great defensive coach. He took the Chiefs to the wire as the coordinator in the Super Bowl. So I'm thinking that, I mean, with Rodgers, I think they're definitely going to be a playoff team. I mean, almost half the teams make it. So you're really just saying, are they just going to be a little bit better than half of the other teams? So yeah, for sure. I'm still laughing at Glass Boy. That man has a mother, Laney.
Yeah, no.
Oh shit, Bo's getting an Uber. We might have to just stay on for 17 minutes just to see the damage.
We could. I don't know what else there's to talk about for another 17 minutes, but did I miss anybody? Who all in the chat? JT, is that 100? Is that for the Jets making the playoffs?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bills and the Jets make the playoffs out of that division. I don't see the Dolphins making it again this year. They snuck in. Like I said, they were the 7th seed. 7th seed. What a ripoff. What is just a terrible idea. The NFL had the best playoff format out of any of the major sports, and it wasn't even close. The 6 teams in each conference, that was just about the right number of teams to make the playoffs, to where you had to be good, but you saw even when the Chiefs sucked for years, they would jump up and win the division or make a wild card with a Matt Castle or something. So the playoffs were attainable. You didn't have to be a juggernaut to make the playoffs. They had the top 2 seeds, got the bye week. I'm still, I know it benefited the Chiefs last year, but I'm still not a fan of the single bye for the 1 seed. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's too big of an advantage, right? You saw both 1 seeds make the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, and it's too big of an advantage. And really, I mean, the difference between the 1 seed and the 2 seed could not even really be that the teams are that much better than one another. It could be that one team played like a second place schedule from the season before, so their schedule is a little bit easier.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other team played a first place schedule. You're talking about a 1 game, 2 game difference max that separates that 1 and that 2. And that could just be strength of schedule more than it is like one team's better than the other. So, yeah, I didn't like it when they did it. They didn't consult me. Roger Goodell didn't call me and ask me. He probably should have. He'd probably be a lot more popular and probably have a lot less controversy and wouldn't be getting booed at the draft like he does if he would have listened to me, if he would have called me. I didn't really hear it that loudly. I was over at Jeff's house watching the draft. I didn't hear it. He didn't have the volume up really. Did they boo him?
Oh, they booed the shit out of him every time he was up on stage. Yeah. Well, I say they. I mean, we booed. I was there, so.
Right, I was about to say we. You were there.
Yeah, no, we booed. Even the people that were in the boonies right up there by the tower were still booing. Everybody's booing. It was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it looked fun. And like I said, it looked great on TV. It looked cool. Union Station's a neat place. I know that every city has a Union Station, but if you go back, like some of the history of the Kansas City Union Station, like the Valentine's Day Massacre down there and the gangsters and shit.
Yeah.
That song, One Toke Over the Line, was written in Union Station here in Kansas City.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I can't hear that song without thinking about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Sitting down here in the railway station, one toke over the line. It's in the lyrics, man. That's what the song's about. The song was written because they were sitting here stuck waiting for their train in Kansas City at Union Station, bored as hell. And I'm not going to say it's like a Rolling Stones famous song, but that song's pretty famous. I mean, most people that listen to classic rock know that song. It's in a lot of movies.
Yeah, look, if you've never been to Kansas City, you go and stay in that area of the town. Go to Union Station, go to Crown Center. I think you'd be really surprised at the city from that aspect. I think people have a perception of Kansas City is probably not having some of the things that it has, right? So, dude, it was JT. It was super packed, right? Luckily, one of my friends knows somebody that lives down there at Union Hill, and so we went to like a pre-draft party that one of his other friends or acquaintances had. He owns like some commercial real estate, and he's got like this super dope house thing that he's built in this like in the River Market. So it's like one of the River Market buildings. So you go inside, and he's turned it into this like modern house. And so we hung out there. Then we went and parked it, because the reason I wasn't going to go is just because I didn't want to jack with parking and trying to figure out where you're going to put your car, how you're going to get out of there. So we actually parked at his friend's house, and it was like probably 4 blocks to walk to it. And so we just walked down there, man. There's just 100,000+ people. Everybody's having a good time, right? They had really cool stuff set up. I need to get some of the footage up on our YouTube, but they had like helmets of every team that were like oversized, probably about like 2-3 feet tall and wide. They had like all the jerseys, like all the uniforms, and it was like a headless deal. So like you could go and like take a picture, like, like you're wearing the jersey. They had people doing combine stuff there. You could do like a 40-yard dash they had set up. You could see what your vertical is. I didn't feel like pulling a Tom Segura, so I didn't try any of that shit.
Man.
You didn't
run the 40?
No, dude, I couldn't run like a 6-second 40 when I was 20 years old. Are you kidding me? Have you seen me? I'm like a human pogo stick, dude. I've got no speed. But and then there was just a lot of cool stuff there. Like I checked out merch to see if we could get some stuff, but I'll be honest, the merch wasn't that cool. Like I don't really see myself or anybody else wearing like an NFL draft shirt. So so I
I
didn't get
kind of
any.
wanted,
Hmm?
I kind of wanted to go down and run the 40 and see
Yeah.
what I could
Yeah.
run.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not fast, so like, I mean, there ain't no sense in me going out there and just embarrassing myself in front of a bunch of people. We did have, so there are these like two Aussie guys that walked up to us, and one of them was wearing this Chargers jersey, and they're asking us where the porta potties were, and they're like a couple hundred yards behind us or whatever. And so this dude just like kneels behind us and just like starts pissing next to the garbage can. And I was like, I know you're from Australia, but I'm pretty sure if you get busted that's like that's like a sex offense, dude. Like but it's Chargers fan.
It
So
depends.
yeah. But no, it was super dope, man. It it was cool to see. It was just good to see the city, get that rep, right? I mean on national TV, and just seeing the big party that is the NFL draft. So
Well, and JT, you're talking about it looking packed on TV. Like if you're ever in Kansas City and you go down to Union Station and you stand there in front of the building and look back towards where there's fountain and like the big hill that goes up to
well, we got it
the.
in the background here. I don't know if we can.
You could say, yeah, but the picture still won't do it justice. Like when you're standing there in person and looking back at that hill and that field and how like huge of a space that actually is, for it to be packed elbow to elbow like that, that's a shit ton of people, man. Like,
Yeah,
that is a big area. That is a huge area.
I mean, it was packed where we were, and we were all, like I said, we were all the way by like the Liberty Memorial at the World War I Museum. I mean, so.
I mean, you figure Arrowhead's 70,000. If there was 100,000 plus, that's 1.5 times the stadium, which is, that's a huge stadium, 70,000.
Yeah, that was just the main area, right? So.
Right, JT. I told you on Twitter. You ever make it to KC? Barbecue's on me. So need to get on out here. Is it how many more minutes till Bo is back?
I don't know, man. Probably 10 or 15 minutes still, but we could open it up.
I don't know, Laney. JT out there in Carolina, they take their barbecue pretty seriously. If Big Doug's still in the chat, or if he's watching there, wasn't that where Big Doug's buddy? What was his name?
Oh, Dan.
Dan Johnson, wasn't he?
Dan Johnson?
Wasn't his barbecue place out there in one of the Carolinas? Is that right? Johnson's Barbecue. You can eat my meat with no teeth.
Dan Johnson was a cool ass dude.
Yeah, hell yeah. Dan Johnson's cool as hell, no doubt. Thermonuclear sauce.
It was good, but
it was good.
It wasn't good the next day.
No, it was not. And there was no ice cream going to take care and help that. But it was damn good. Because some stuff you get that you can tell, like they just go out of their way to make it hot, and they're not thinking about flavor. But man, they had the flavor and the heat.
Yeah.
Got SC in here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's and everybody thinks KC Masterpiece, right? When they think Kansas City barbecue, and that's really not like the prototypical sauce of like the famous places, right? That kind of that sweet, sugary sauce, right? If you think about like Gates or Arthur Bryant's or Joe's, like their sauces aren't typically like that, but
some of them are. I mean, it seems like nowadays every barbecue place they've got a sweet sauce now.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, it used to be, Gates had like Gates, and then they had Gates Hot.
Right.
Bryant had Bryant's sauce. and these places have their. But now they've all got their hot one. They've all got their sweet one. They've all got their regular one. They got 6 different sauces every place you go to. But yeah, vinegar base here too. JT is a lot of it. Gates is my favorite, and it's definitely vinegar base.
Right.
JT, you do the Carolina style with the pulled pork on your barbecue? You a fan of that? I get mine like that sometimes. I like it, especially if it's like a good spicy slaw on there.
Yeah. I
I
like the slaw. I like coleslaw on a pulled pork sandwich, man.
Yeah.
Look, the thing that I've learned about barbecue is that a lot of people do it really well. I mean, all over the country. So, I mean, I'm not one of those haters, right? Where it's like, oh, well, Kansas City's the best, everybody else's is trash. Like, pretty much everywhere I've been, it's been good. It's just kind of the different styles, right? Like you go into Texas, it's all about beef, right? Because that's what they had down there. Well, so it's all about beef. Up here, burn-ins are the big deal, right? If you come up to Kansas City, barbecue. So
yeah,
shit, I don't know that cut out.
Nick's freezing up a little bit there. I don't know if we're gonna lose you, if you're gonna have to cut out or jump back in. Oh, well, looks like there you go. Yeah, I had a Gates Nooner sandwich for lunch today, as a matter of fact. That's my favorite. People talk about. I probably shouldn't talk bad about Q39 on here because that will instantly make sure that 95% of the people that watch
end
our
our viewership
will never watch it again. But I don't know, man. That place is. When I go to a barbecue place, I don't want to leave hungry still. Especially not if it costs me $45 for 2 people to have lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I mean, their food is good, but yeah, KC barbecue, Carolina barbecue. I mean, obviously we think everybody thinks theirs is the best, right? Like that's the way that goes. But I need to get out to the Carolinas too, man. I've never been out there. I'd love to get out there, like Myrtle Beach. I heard that place is tight.
Oh shit! There you go, moonshine and barbecue. Sounds like my kind of place. I mean, I don't drink, but still sounds like my kind of place.
They got any NA moonshine out there, JT? For us
yeah.
Pantywankers?
John got he got some Jack Stack seasoning.
Jack
so
Stack is good.
How I feel about Q39 is if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, I'd rather go to Jack Stack down there in the warehouse district because that's like not only is the food really good and the beans are out of this world, but that building is just cooler than hell. You go down there and it's like that old warehouse, and you feel like you're in a high end restaurant, right? And that's kind of Q39's niche is more like kind of like a upscale feel to it. At least the one that I went to down in I think that was in Olathe. Or over on Park area. So
I've never been to that one. I've only been to the one on 39th Street, which I feel like I'm in a Chipotle when I go in there. Like they're trying to like feel like and I'll never forget too, I went down to Q39 with this chick one time, and I was out there on a date, and they obviously didn't have this. This wasn't on the TV, like when they turned the TV on, but they weren't paying attention to what was on the TV. And it had gone from whatever show or whatever they had on in the background there in the dining room to, it was like those like true stories of the ER.
No way, dude.
Surgery on this person. And I'm like, man, that ain't very appetizing. Because it looked like barbecue sauce. It was like, oh, there's some ribs. You know, that looks kind of like what I'm eating right now.
Oh, dude.
I told the waitress too. I said, hey, you might want to change that TV over there. That's probably Virginia. I was thinking of Carolina. Virginia's a nice place too. I need to get there. I need to get out there too. I need to stop going to Florida every time I go on vacation. That's what I need. Florida and Colorado. But yeah, and the girl, she's like looked at the TV and saw it was on. She goes, "Oh yeah, I should probably do something about that." Having watching people getting operated on, probably not what you want to have on in the dining room at your fancy hoity-toity barbecue restaurant. So, yeah, no, I travel a lot. I went to the same places for a lot of years. Had family, Nick, when he lived out there in Colorado. Had a lot of good times in Colorado, but
Yeah.
kind of
Done with
Colorado
Colorado for a good decade, though, aren't you?
right? Well, what are the beaches like out there in Carolina, JT? You got warm water out there, cold water. What's it like? I mean, I've only seen pictures. I need to get out there. And JT probably tell you Myrtle Beach is the tourist trap, the one place you don't want to go to out there.
Yeah, we were gonna go there actually, but some of the stuff we read was that it's not the best place where if you have young children. So we I think that's when we decided to go to Fort Lauderdale instead. Because I definitely want to go to the Carolinas. So
Yep. Oh yeah, I've been to Fort Collins many a times.
yeah.
Um,
Dude, Fort Collins dope. It's like everything that Boulder should be.
yeah, Fort Collins is sick.
Yeah.
Bo lived in Fort Collins for a while. I don't know if Bo's really going to jump on here or not, or if he was just drunk texting there, but we'll give him a few more minutes. Yeah, see, there's JT tell me Myrtle sucks. That's just where everybody says to go.
Right.
Well, where do we need to go then, JT? If I'm going out there, where do I need to go? The locals always tell you the best places to go. It's like when I went to Gulf Shores for the first time there, people were like, you don't want to go there. You go to Orange Beach. That's the place to go. It's by Gulf Shores. And they didn't lie. It wasn't nearly as crowded. It was clean. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, North Carolina, the mountains.
There you go. John's offering it up, man.
We got the address.
So yeah, we do.
I think
we'll post that, and we'll post John C's address in the chat for everybody.
Yeah, I'll put it on the Chiefs. I'll put it in the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter too. So, him and Brenda. I don't know if Brenda's still watching or not, but I don't know if we have any way to get a hold of Bo, see if he's really going to jump in here or not.
Yeah, let me text him real quick. John, we are not going to put your address in the chat.
No, yeah, I definitely wouldn't do that.
Let's see here.
I saw on the Twitter a couple days ago, might have even been yesterday. They had where's the best microbrewery town in the United States, and they didn't have Fort Collins listed as one of the selections. And I'm like, although I guess maybe New Belgium doesn't qualify as a microbrew now, maybe they're too big for that. But bro, Odell and New Belgium, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, no, that whole area there, I think there's like 6 different ones. So, yeah, I might be out on Tampa though. I got to be honest. That Super Bowl scarred me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Tampa. It's a nice area. I like that whole Clearwater is kind of like on the other side of the bay. Treasure Island is right down in there. Been there a couple times. That's a nice spot too. Did you hear Bo text you back yet?
No, I'm thinking we'll just we're sorry for belaboring you guys here and for no avail, but I don't think that Bo's going to be jumping on. So
yeah, see, Brenda knows. Brenda's down there. She's in that area, Orange Beach. That's a spot down there in that area. That's a beautiful place. That whole area down there. Cruise down there along that Emerald Coast down there along Destin and Perdido. Super nice down there.
Yeah, Bo's not jumping on. So.
Bo's not jumping on. Probably a good idea. So
yeah.
All right then. Well, I appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out with us and talking Chiefs and talking the draft. Really looking forward to next week. I don't know why I geek out so much on the schedule release, but I love the schedule release.
It's good, man.
Really looking forward to seeing who that Chiefs first game of the year is going to be against. I'm still thinking Eagles, but that'd be nice. Beat them back to back.
Yeah, it's got to be Eagles or Bengals is what I would guess, but
Yeah.
I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you are, but that's all right. So am I. Anyway, appreciate everybody again for jumping in and joining us and watching. Again, if you haven't clicked like, if you haven't clicked subscribe, do that for us now. We'll be back next week to talk Chiefs news and talk about the schedule coming up. And until then, let's go Chiefs.
All right, man. Let's go Chiefs. Let me, I'm behind the times here. Let me get the thing up. I'm not as smooth at this as Bo, huh? Bam. Laters.